and welcome to Talk to Downtown. My name is Courtney Wood. I'm the Economic Development Director for the Downtown Stockton Alliance, the 501c6 nonprofit property-based business improvement district serving downtown Stockton. This series is intended to connect our business owners, property owners, visitors, and residents with the organizations, people, and resources which impact our community. Today we have special guest, Ron Freitas. He is the San Joaquin County District Attorney. I'm very excited to chat with him today. We'll begin by having our guest share a little bit about his background and how it led him to becoming the district attorney. Then I will go through a list of questions that I've outlined for him, and at the end, we will open it up for viewer questions. So if you do have a question, please type it in as a comment and we will get to it towards the end of the live. And with that, I would just like to say, welcome, Ron Freitas. Thank you so much for being our guest. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how it led you to becoming the DA.
Good morning, Courtney. Thank you for having me on the program today. Very excited to be here. Very excited because of all the amazing things that are happening in San Joaquin County that we can be a great part of. I attended undergraduate down at Cal Poly. I grew up in the Central Valley, came up to law school in Sacramento, and then interned at the district attorney's office. Once I started with the San Joaquin County District Attorney's Office, I've been here for over 30 years. And 2 years ago, I became the elected in charge of the entire office. So raised my family here, proud to be a member of the community, and very excited to see what we're doing.
Wonderful. Thank you for that insight into your background. And now, just in case anyone listening doesn't know, can you tell us more about what the district attorney does? What are your duties? What are your responsibilities?
Well, I like to talk about it in three different ways. First, we're the CEO of the largest law office in the county with over 100 attorneys and 300 individuals in staff total. I have my own police department, which is my district attorney investigations, which involves about 60 investigators and another 25 individuals in support doing investigations, subpoena service, clerical department. We also have a victim witness team that's about 40 individuals that are working on getting counseling, restitution claims, going to court with individuals, being helpful throughout the court process. And then I have about 100 individuals that would be the typical support staff that you have. I have a fiscal department. I have an IT department. We have clerical divisions because we file somewhere in the neighborhood about, we're looking at about 13,000 complaints a year, criminal complaints in the criminal proceedings. That works out to about 250 a week. So we're very, very busy on that. In addition to that, I'm the chief law enforcement officer of the county. And that's constantly created. The office has been in existence since the creation of the state and the creation of the county. So we're coming up on our 175th year anniversary. I haven't been here all 175 years. I've been here for about a little more than 30 of them. But it's a constitutionally created office. While I'm not a police officer myself, but I do work with law enforcement and the other agencies determining what is criminal and then initiating it in the courts and in the criminal proceedings. Last but not least, I am the representative of the people of the state of California. So anytime we initiate a document in the court proceedings, we represent the people. So we are unique. Very few attorneys actually have this responsibility. We're quite a bit different than traditional attorneys that have a client. Our client is the people of the state of California. And we're alone with maybe the U.S. Attorney's Office and the Attorney General's Office in holding this responsibility. So we represent everybody. We represent not law enforcement, not the victims, but not the complainants, but everyone in the city and in the state and in the county. So we have this wide responsibility of doing justice, which really distinguishes us from everybody, other attorneys that are seeking the best resolution for their clients. we seek the best resolution for our client, which is justice, which we like to just simplify by saying doing what's right.
I love that. So it's justice for the community. It's for everyone
Yes.
involved,
Yes.
not just for one person, one client.
Very
So
exactly.
you have a lot of responsibilities. What is the most common question that you get asked in your role, since you're responsible for so much?
Are we busy? Yeah. Yes, we are very, very busy, and I think that's probably because of the responsibilities that we have. We see ourselves as the good shepherd of not only our 800,000 residents in San Joaquin County, but also, the millions of individuals that commute through our county on our freeways every single day. So we have a very large responsibility to our community. Also, we see ourselves as a very important cog of the community, that because we have this leadership role in determining what is right and standing for what our community stands for, we can set the tone as to what our community is about and where we want to go.
Thinking about the community, what are some of the biggest opportunities and challenges that your office is facing right now?
Well, one of the unique things that I have is that while I was the head of homicide during my tenure in the district attorney's office, I became a member of the Lodi Unified School Board, where I served for over 10 years. So we, based upon those experiences, we based our principles upon three important tenets. And the reason I became the district attorney while on the Lodi School Board, because generally people being the head of homicide in a community are too busy to be on a school board, is because all the years that I had prosecuted horrible murders, I had never convicted anybody of murder that had graduated high school. So this was a unique experience to me that I saw personally, and I have a very smart wife, not just because she married me, but because she pointed this out, that by being on the school board and getting kids graduated, I can make a difference in my day job and make a difference in the community, stressing how important it was getting individuals graduated. Then once I was on the school board, they schooled me and told me that you just don't try getting individuals graduated in high school. What you actually start is by getting them reading in third grade. So if you get them reading by third grade, there was a 98% correlation of graduation. So it was very important that we put our emphasis early on. So coming from that, we built our three principles, which is education, early intervention, and then enforcement. So if we can do education out the gate, and then you do early intervention, getting people on positive paths, then we can make a difference in the amount of enforcement that we do later on, getting individuals working in the system and being successful. Because we had two choices: we can either be incarcerating or we could be educating, and we'd much rather be educating and have people be programming and doing positive things in our community.
I love
The
that
other
you're taking
is,
that as a focus.
being a lawyer, with long answers, we also saw that our top third students at Lodi Unified, which is about 28,000 students, our AP students, maybe at best half would return to our community, whereas our middle third and our bottom third, our special ed students, would tend to live 95% of their lives in the same 20 miles. So if we can emphasize on those individuals, getting them graduating, getting them career ready, using AVID programs to get them into colleges, then we could keep those individuals in our community, as opposed to chasing them and arresting them. So putting that emphasis on early intervention, graduation, and making this early investment in our community.
What an interesting focus, and it's so true. A lot of those students, this is where they're going to live, so you might as well invest the resources into making sure that they're reaching those levels of education. I love that.
The other exciting thing that we came from Lodi Unified is that the district on its 50 some different locations spoke over 50 different languages. So not only are we talking about diversity, we are actually rocking diversity and making the district. San Joaquin County may be the most diverse community maybe in the nation. And not only is it a challenge, but instead of being a challenge, it's really a secret of our success. That because we now have so much input from so many different cultures and so many different backgrounds, we are so far ahead of the game, other communities that don't have this. So we're obviously promoting that type of diversity and encouraging that, and a huge, huge fan and proponent of it.
I love that. It really gives a different perspective when you have people from everywhere, giving their input. It creates a different sort of system, and very interesting. So what is something that you think people might be surprised to know about crime in our community?
Something that people be surprised about our community. Obviously, I think the perception may be much worse than what the reality is, but we still have to work in the confines of the perception. We have so many positive things going on here. We have, our IT industry that's taking off, our warehousing, our ag tourism, our central location with our airport, the port that, distinguishes us from just about everywhere else. And we have our great educational systems. We also have our, I just think we got great people. And we also have land for manufacturing that really separates us from so many other areas, especially the Bay Area and there. So we really have, I think, great opportunities right now in our community. But we are going to be hindered as long as we have this crime reputation. And we see right now the community has changed so much. I would say just in the last 10 years, 15 years. Probably the middle of the county, median population was probably somewhere in the middle of Stockton. But now we see with the growth of Mountain House, Tracy, Manteca, Ripon, Lathrop, that it's probably moved much further south, that we're probably, French Camp Road, maybe Matthews Road. And that our South County really is demanding a high level of public safety. They're attracting a high level of professionals. We also see the same thing in Lodi and Linden. Again, expecting low crime numbers and having a professional environment. So the last piece of the puzzle has been Stockton, and I think Stockton now is also ready to do amazing things. That we have the parts in place and the partnerships to do great things. So. And I think we're being held hostage probably by the same few thousand knuckleheads that we've been held hostage by always that are not getting the message. And so that's what we're trying to do right now. That gun violence is not going to be tolerated in San Joaquin County, and these individuals are going to be held accountable. And I think that's one of the major changes that we have going on.
Beautiful. Thank you for touching on all the positives here. And
yes.
You're so right. We're constantly fighting against that perception.
Yeah.
But every year it seems to be improving, slowly. It's getting there.
Well, so, and I mean, if you look at the growth in the South County with, our Pro Bass Sports, Field of Dreams, Gray Wolf Lodge, I mean, the businesses that are being attracted there, and so many other areas are warehousing. We now will have a job for every single individual that graduates high school, and we can be ready to do that. We just have it upon ourselves to get it done. My last 4 years before becoming the elected was in the juvenile division, and we were filing somewhere in the neighborhood of 600 to 700 cases a year. Generally, kids, everything from theft to even more serious cases of shooters and stabbers and rapists and robbers. And what we saw in the juvenile division was many of what we saw in society's problems. That, we saw neglect, we saw drugs, we saw violence, we saw a lot of mental health issues. But I always felt very positive that if we could work with those individuals, that 8 out of 10, 9 out of those 10 individuals, we could get out of the system and get on positive paths. So by getting those individuals, by concentrating on that, having early intervention programs and getting them on their way, I thought that was huge because, again, get them graduated, get them employed, because we're going to have the jobs for them, and we have opportunities for people to buy houses, houses that, they're not going to be able to afford over the Altamont.
Exactly. Prevention is key.
Yes.
So you touched a little bit on some of the types of cases that you've worked on. What types of crimes have you seen occurring in downtown Stockton specifically? Is there anything you can share about that? Are there any kind of changes in trends there?
Yeah, so when we took the office, we found that the office was charging in the prior administration about 53% of the cases that were being presented to us. So that means that 1 out of 2 cases was being prosecuted. To put that in perspective, that was lowest in the state. Generally, state average is somewhere between 65 and 70%. Even San Francisco, who had a very liberal DA, Chesa Bowden, was charging over 60%. So, and we found that doesn't work. That when we didn't have, what we were doing was catch and release, which is great for bass fishing, great for trout fishing, horrible for a criminal justice system. That we had to prosecute individuals and to hold them accountable. Not to obviously lock them up and throw away the key, but to work positively with them and work them towards positive diversion and intervention strategies to get them on positive paths. So what we found also that the reason it was so low was large groups of crimes weren't being prosecuted, such as theft was not being prosecuted, vandalism, trespass, arson, that these were believed to be circumstance crimes. I really don't understand the logic of that, but now we're in the business of prosecuting all of those again. We also found that prostitution wasn't being prosecuted because that was believed to be a consensual contract between adults, even when one of the participants was 16 years old. Well, being the elected DA, you get to say this stops now, and we're prosecuting prostitution again, seeing it not as a consenting contract, but one of the largest forms of human trafficking, especially sex trafficking in our community, and one of the biggest deterrents. So we're back in there. Also, we we prosecute resisting arrest. And the reason we prosecute that, because if someone is violent with a police officer, then they pose a very special threat to the community. So by getting involved with those, prosecuting those crimes, we've raised our charging rate, and we've seen a great response from it. Also, we found also that the district attorney's office was very, very poorly staffed. So we've hired over 100 individuals. We promoted over 100 individuals to get the office fully staffed, so that individuals now can concentrate on cases, give them the time that they need, and cases can be properly investigated. So working with those strategies of having a fully staffed district attorney's office and prosecuting crimes and getting in the business of fighting for our victims. And our victims are our true victims. The victim is not a criminal, a criminal is not a business or a law enforcement officer. By focusing that our victims are our businesses, that they are our children, our spouses, our girlfriends, and fighting for them, we've seen a huge turn in the community.
Wonderful. It sounds like you've made a lot of positive changes.
Yes.
And now that you've kind of increased that rate, How many cases would you say that your office prosecutes on average, in a year?
Yeah,
Do you have
I
any
think
idea?
we're in the range of about 13,000 cases a year. We're working on getting better IT to justify that, but it would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 250 cases a week that we are filing. So
Wow, you guys are very busy over there, doing great
yes,
work,
we are.
important work. So how do you decide who to prosecute and what charges to bring against them?
So those we're not a first responder in most instances, in the respect that I don't drive out on the crosstown freeway and issue speeding tickets. So
Right.
we rely upon law enforcement. In certain instances, we are the first reporters for certain fraud cases, political corruption. Individuals will contact our office, real estate fraud, and we may be the initial investigator. But generally, law enforcement gets crimes. They investigate them and then they submit them to us. We are controlled by the penal code and the code of ethics that require us only to charge crimes that we have a reasonable belief will result in a conviction, which means proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So we review those cases that have proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, if a case doesn't have proof beyond a reasonable doubt, we may refer to the agency and have them do further investigation, or we may do further investigation upon ourselves. But we have ethical standards, high ethical standards that require us to only file those type of cases.
Okay. And you shared a little bit about how you learn about the cases or the incidences.
Yes.
How else does your office coordinate with the police department?
We work very closely with it, especially our vertical units. We have vertical prosecutions in many different areas, such as child abuse, sexual assault, domestic violence, gangs. And what we see is we have investigators specifically assigned to those that have an expertise in there. And they'll be working closely with the law enforcement agencies so that as an investigation is proceeding, we'll be sharing ideas, information, going back and forth, making sure every step of the process is done lawfully, legally. Search warrants, arrest warrants meet all the different criteria. And then, in some instances, we just formed, for example, the Human Trafficking Task Force. So that's housed in our office, and an attorney and several prosecutors are working full-time on human trafficking and developing those type of relationships so that we have constant input. But what we see is that communication, teamwork makes the dream work. And by communicating nonstop with our law enforcement agencies and being available 24/7 makes a very big difference and helps everybody.
Wonderful. And so now I'm curious, how is it determined whether someone is going to be prosecuted or maybe that they're sent to treatment of some type, whether it's drug treatment or, maybe mental health treatment?
That's a very good question. And when we look at all the circumstances, and it's a case by case decision and basis. So what we do look for is what are the best results, taking into account the severity of the offense, the criminal offense, the needs of the community, and the needs of the individual. So it's a multi-pronged approach. It's very, very complex. But what we do, I'm really proud of our attorneys. I think they work very hard to do what's best with so many different factors.
Love it. And so how is the implementation of care courts, and maybe you can talk a little bit about what that is in case anyone's unfamiliar. How has that changed the work that you're doing?
So care courts now bring a new component into this so that we now look at mental health. For too many years, we asked people just to go to the room and quit being crazy. We wouldn't do that with a child if they had a broken leg, right? And said, hey, quit limping and quit crying, and go to your room. So by being proactive and taking a positive approach to this, we can get the individuals the help they need. So Care Court creates this new opportunity for us to work together. And it mimics in many ways what we had in the juvenile division. The juvenile division was that all the individuals, the prosecution, the court, the probation department, the minor and their attorney, that we were all working together to try to get this individual on a positive path. And when you have that type of collaboration, good things happen. And so too many times that we see in the criminal justice system, it's adversarial, guilty or not guilty. It makes for great TV drama, but also, if we're following 13,000 cases a year, maybe 200, 250 of them will actually be going to trial. So that means that the vast majority of the cases, over 12,500 cases, is that we're working towards positive resolutions that I think help everybody and move everybody in a positive direction.
Thank you. Thanks for going into that and how it's kind of affected your work. Now I'd like to ask, what challenges does your office face in terms of prosecuting vandalism, loitering, or trespassing? Those are kind of some of the types of crimes you were talking about earlier.
Yes, so obviously those are lower level crimes, especially when we have agencies concentrating a large amount on violence. But there are also crimes that greatly affect the community. So what we found also is that for a very long period of time, about 8 years before we took office, individuals were told that there was nothing that could be done. And if a police officer showed up for your complaint for theft or vandalism or arson, you were told basically by the officer that said, hey, I could waste your time, you could waste my time, but the DA isn't going to do anything. Well, we're here to tell you that the DA is going to do something. We've gotten that message out clear to law enforcement, but what we haven't seen right now is that agencies are calling, that individuals and victims are calling law enforcement. So we have a call 911 campaign and are getting people involved in that. So we want you to call 911 and because that makes the progress. We also now, with the enactment of Prop 36, can have individuals who are repeat offenders. What we've seen is that serial shoplifters who were stealing just below the limit, $900 every single day. Well, if you did that for 300 days, which we saw people are doing, that's a substantial sum of money and is putting quite a detriment on business. So now, because Prop 36 is enacted upon certification, we can now encourage individuals into positive lives and lawful lifestyles as opposed to carrying on with this criminal activity. And with that also comes the incentive for individuals to complete drug treatment plans or job trainings that are out there. When individuals figured that they were just going to simply be cut loose by the courts, there was no incentive for them to go to a drug rehab program. In fact, New Horizons right now has 80 beds, but I believe only 35 of them are occupied. So here is a drug treatment plan that has housing follow-up, job follow-up, and everything else, but we can't get individuals into it. And it's free because now Medi-Cal and Medicare pay for it. So before, when I was a baby DA, one, we couldn't find beds, and two, we couldn't find a way to pay for it. Now we have beds and a way to pay for it, but we had no incentive for individuals to change and take advantage of these programs.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing insight into that. And now let's talk a little bit about theft, which you've touched on. It's a huge issue in our community, connected to what you're just speaking about. And due to that issue, I know that your office and the Greater Stockton Chamber, you've developed the Stockton Takes Action Against Retail Theft program. I did have on Christina Urquieta last month to talk a little bit about it from the Chamber side, but I'm hoping you can share more about it from the DA side.
Well, this kind of hits home. My wife went into our grocery store, and as she was walking into the grocery store, two individuals passed her coming out, pushing shopping carts that were overflowing with meat. And we're not talking about gizzards and chicken thighs. We're talking about steaks and roasts and the high-end cuts. So she asked for the store manager and said, hey, did you just get robbed? And he said, yes, unfortunately we did. She said, well, today's your lucky day. I'm the district attorney's wife, and I have descriptions, I have photographs, I have license plates. I am here, I'm your best witness. And he says, ma'am, are you okay? And she says, yes. And she said, and he said, well, then corporate's going to ask you not to get involved. And she says, what do you mean? She says, yeah, corporate policy is that we don't get involved in retail theft. So she found this a little bit troubling, and she said, well, let me get this straight. You want me to go up and down the aisles, and you want me to fill my cart, and then you want me to go through the checkout line? Aren't you kind of telling me now that paying is optional? Why wouldn't I just go out the exit like they did? And he said, well, because you're the district attorney's wife. And she said, touche to that. But it's kind of disappointing that paying had become optional in San Joaquin County. So by signing the first MOU with the Greater Stockton Chamber of Commerce in our 175-year history, and it could be the first in the state, what we're saying is paying is no longer optional in San Joaquin County, and that the district attorney's office is open for business. People, I think, were frustrated that nothing was going to happen. Something is going to happen. We are very positive to do this. Even before Prop 36, what we found is that serial shoplifters, that we could bundle these cases and keep them in, kind of like Geico or State Farm and the insurance. By bundling these cases, showing these individuals what they were, and that these weren't individuals that were, stealing, obviously, for food or such. I mean, if a child shoplifts a candy bar from a gas station, that's because they're hungry, and now we have to address a different problem. But when these individuals are dealing for profit and reselling this, this is a very serious offense. So we're very excited to be a part of this. It creates a direct connection. So in my wife's instance, she can now submit that information to the district attorney's office. And in addition to telling me when I got home from work, but now we can build cases upon this. And now the next component of it is that the app will have facial recognition. So we can now identify individuals that are going to be moving across the community and are hitting different businesses, not just simply in one area. So we're very excited about this. I think we're sending a very clear message to our businesses that we're here for you, that when you call 911, something's going to happen, and please do call 911, because organized retail theft has so many different components. Obviously, not only is it bad for the customers, but because now we find that so many items are behind glass that you have to be unlocked now to buy your laundry detergent pods or your baby formula. But also it creates a dangerous environment. Now criminals are now walking up and down the aisles freely, taking purses, creating a theft environment. We also see that it becomes more and more dangerous to the store employees, that as they try to intervene, generally positively, and saying, hey, maybe you made a mistake, you forgot to pay for those 20 items in your bag. Could you come back in, and take over this? Individuals are becoming more and more violent. And this causes the problem. Me and Tim Quinn, the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, just toured this Hammer Lane Walmart the other day with the chief legal counsel for Walmart. And what we saw is that theft no longer is maybe a daily occurrence, but it's actually an hourly occurrence that is going on nonstop, which is really a shame. If you think about it, Walmart operates on a very slim profit margin. In many instances, it would make better financial sense for them to close the stores and live off the interest that they could be made. So where are we then going to provide our supplies to our community? I mean, do we want to return to COVID where we don't have places to buy paper towels and buy our food and have this? The other thing is so many of our employees, Walmart provides a first job for them. This is a gateway job for them. So if we do not have these jobs for these individuals that, lets them go on to college and progress on to higher jobs, then we don't start that whole process. So these are very important to have these businesses. When we've seen communities lose these business, the community completely loses. So we prioritize this with our, MOU, with our Just Call 911 component, and with our prioritizing of organized retail theft.
Thank you. And we're going to put up the graphic for the STAART program. So if you are watching this and you have not downloaded the app, anyone in the community can do it. You can also create an account as a merchant if you do own a business. But this is how we can help cut down on that retail theft in our community and report it. Make sure it goes to Ron's office. Make sure they can prosecute against these individuals. And then I wanted to ask about this program, what impact have you seen it having so far? Can you give us an idea? Have you seen a lot of people reporting? Has it led to any kind of convictions yet? How's it going?
It's going great. We're very excited. We're receiving cases, I think, just about on a daily basis, and we're working on developing those. But I think most important thing is that we can give hope to the community and let people know that the DA's office is open for business, and that we are there and paying is no longer optional.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's such a great program. And I know so many businesses, they're just tired of losing money. They're tired of seeing things get stolen, and they just feel like there's nothing they can do about it. So it's great that you're giving them this outlet, giving them hope. We're going to prosecute these people.
Well, thank you. And, we have great partners on this. Obviously, my county board of supervisors that funded the grant, the Chamber of Commerce that, came up with this initiative, and then, just the people of San Joaquin that they're supporting it, they're downloading it on a regular basis, and they want to make a difference.
Wonderful. So are there any other new programs or changes to our county's justice system of which the community should be aware?
Well, we're very excited about our education component. And what we've seen is that getting individuals educated make a very large difference. We do that in many different ways, most of which is making our public appearances. We make over 300 public appearances a year. I'm also very excited to say that if you have a high schooler that doesn't have anything to do in the summer, we provide a youth leadership academy that they come down, they get a wide exposure to the courts, the district attorney's office, law enforcement, probation, a wide range of experiences. And we see that many of those individuals, it helps them, I think, identify what they want to do, and it looks great on a college resume. But the other thing on our education component is that as a district attorney, I have this unique position that I get to take money from criminals and give it to kids. So we have an asset forfeiture fund that I work with the board of supervisors, the sheriff, Sheriff Pat Withrow, chief of probation, Steve Jackson, and the chief of police of the different counties. And we can give this to programs to help kids stay away from gangs and stay out of drugs. So working on that as part of our education program, getting the information out for boys and girls clubs. And in our 682 days in office, who's counting, we've given about $600,000 away into the community, helping kids. So if you have a good program that helps kids, please shoot me an email, and we'd be more excited to make that happen. Last but not least, when you become the elected, I think everyone expects you to be in the courtroom. You don't anticipate that you become the CEO of a 501c3, and that's the Family Justice Center. The Family Justice Center is a unique facility that we have here in San Joaquin County. Quite a few, maybe about a quarter of the counties in California have that. I want to say there's maybe 300 across the nation. Our victim witness advocacy is very, very important because we find that our victims have our highest propensity of becoming tomorrow's criminal. So if we can get these individuals out of the system for child abuse, domestic violence, elder abuse, then we can get them on positive paths. And if we can change that in the community, in the home, kids don't see mom and dad fight, and they have positive role models. This makes a huge difference, especially child abuse, sexual assault, these type of crimes. So we have two victim organizations, one of which is our victim witnesses organization, which is, like we said, our victim witness advocates. Once you file a police report, they're going to be contacting you, working with you, guiding you through the court system with our deputy district attorneys, providing counseling, support, restitution, restraining orders, all the legal documents that we see for those individuals who have dialed 911 or initiated crime reports. The Family Justice Center is a separate organization that operates by itself, and that we take our victims as we find them. So you do not have to dial 911. You do not have to file a police report. If you have a problem, the Family Justice Center provides services to you. The other interesting component is that they're a hub organization. So we bring you into the Family Justice Center, which is located here in the district attorney's offices. And we have now 24 partners and soon to have 30 partners that will be providing the services that you need. If you need domestic violence sheltering, or if you need help with the county office of education or probation, or working with Prevail or mental health treatment, one of our 24 partners will come to you and then provide you the services you need. So we take our victims as we find them, and then a hub organization getting you on. And working again in 6 major categories such as domestic violence, human trafficking, child abuse, elder abuse, sexual assault, and such. So it's very excited that we have this Family Justice Center, that it's available out there for individuals, that these individuals can receive the services without going through law enforcement by contacting us directly, and we can provide this. The other nice thing is that communities that are wary of law enforcement, this is a way of showing that the district attorney's office isn't just about prosecuting and putting people in jail, that we build our trust up with the organizations, showing them that we are here to help the community and give individuals hope and get them on positive paths without prioritizing. Now, ideally, eventually, these individuals do become confident and strong enough that they will file claims and prosecute their attackers. But that isn't the priority. The priority right now is just getting them well.
Thank you for sharing that. And can you tell us the address so we can pop it up down below?
It's on the DA website, so there'll be direct referrals there. And we are here at 222 East Weber in the district attorney's main office.
Thank you. Yeah, that's such a wonderful resource. It's really, to your point, it can be scary if the person who you're being hurt by is so close to you. You don't necessarily want to file, something legal against them, but you still might need help. So it's just wonderful that you have this available to people. So This is where you can find the Family Justice Center if anyone listening needs that resource or wants to share it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so proud of them of the outstanding job that they do. And one of our counselors actually came from a human trafficking background. So we have these life experiences in addition to working with our 24 different partners that are very good at getting individuals the services they need. And I'd be very remiss if I didn't talk about our first program. What we've found in San Joaquin County is that fentanyl is our #1 killer in San Joaquin County. We're on pace for about 100 overdose deaths in the county. And for every individual that overdoses, we see that there maybe are 5 or 6 individuals that will be saved by Narcan. We also find that it's an indiscriminate killer. Also preying on our youth because of its high availability and its low cost, our communities of color and our communities of poverty. So last year, the board initiated with us our FIRST team, which is an acronym for Fentanyl Intervention, Response, and Safety Team. And we're working on a 3-pronged approach. Again, the education component out there. So we've talked to over 10,000 students at 50 different schools that have rallies, stressing the message that one pill kills. I know the national campaign is one pill can kill. I say one pill kills. That you never take anything unless it's given to you by a pharmacist or your parent, but never from a stranger or anything else. We find right now that fentanyl is being disguised as candy. It's being disguised as over-the-counter pills. It's being disguised as prescription pills. And because of the way it's being manufactured, it is, you never know what is the hot dose that can kill you. So we're getting that education out. We also are looking at individuals who are overdosing, training law enforcement to seize the phones because we find the last person they contact will be the individual that sold that hot dose. So we can get intervention in there, get that hot dose off the street. Also, we found that when we took office, one prosecutor was working half-time for narcotics prosecution. That is simply not acceptable. What has made San Joaquin attractive to commerce throughout its history, its central location, was the same thing that made it attractive for drug dealing. We found out that the fentanyl came up from the south, either went west to the Bay Area, north to Canada, or east all the way across the United States. And it wasn't unusual in one year that we seized over 28 pounds of fentanyl in our community alone. That works out to somewhere around about 900,000 doses, enough to kill every man, woman, and child in San Joaquin County. So it is our number one component. So we're now actively working on the task force, holding those individuals accountable. Where it used to be unusual for us to see arrests for 10,000 pills, now several times a month we're arresting individuals with 100,000 pills. So we're being very aggressive about fentanyl trafficking, and we're also, if you sell the hot dose, knowing that you are killing people, we are going to prosecute you, and we are prosecuting for murder now in our community. So it's one of the things that touches on all 3 of our components: our education, early intervention, and enforcement. And we're very proud of the outreach of 50 schools that we reached out. One of the real exciting things and the amazing things about it is that each of our school rallies generally starts with a mom who lost their child or a dad that lost their child to fentanyl. And that just changes the whole component of this. This isn't, just lawyers and cops saying blah, blah, blah. This is someone that really hits home. You can hear a pin drop when they talk. These moms are amazing. The strength that they have and their commitment to it. The other thing is we worked very, very hard with our assembly and with Assemblymember Villapu. We were able to get an AB 701 passed, which now adds fentanyl to the kilo list. So that if you possess a kilo of fentanyl, you get 10 additional years, 2 kilos, 20 years, 3, and so on, that we're going there. So we're working very hard, putting to light how dangerous this is in our community. It's much more dangerous than COVID. It's much more dangerous than heart disease. It is our number one killer right now in our community.
Wow. I'm glad you're drawing attention to that issue, and it is a really scary thing. You just never know. Even if you've only tried that one time, that could be a deadly dose. Very, very scary. So it's good that you're working on it.
Most of the people we find overdosing do not think they're taking fentanyl. They think they're taking maybe a Percocet or a Xanax, or we've even had kids die thinking that they have been given an aspirin by a schoolmate. So it is very, very terrifying that one mistake, dropping your guard one time, now has this lethal effect, deadly
So
consequence.
yes, you're doing so much great work on so many different things in our community.
Well,
If
thank you.
you had to outline maybe one or two goals that you have for your time as the DA, what would they be? You know, what are your goals for our justice system here?
Well, I love this community, and I'll just repeat what I started from the beginning. I think this community's never been more poised for success for many of the great reasons that's going on, but also I think because we just have great people. We have diversity like no one else, and we are knocking it out of the park every single day. And I just see so many different opportunities here. So by continuing to do an enforcement campaign, what I think last month you may be aware of, we were working with the Department of Justice, Stockton Police Department, our investigations, and we arrested over 75 individuals, removing almost 60 guns off the street. So this is our enforcement component. We are going to be very, very clear that no longer do we tolerate individuals with gun violence in our community. So by having this enforcement campaign, prioritizing it and getting it out there, we want to make people know that this is a great community. This is a community that you can raise your children in, that your schools are going to be safe in, that your businesses are going to be in, and that we're not going to tolerate gun violence. So by changing that focus and letting people know that they're going to be held accountable, I think that is a very important legacy that we want to have, because I think it makes it better for so many different things. And then, you know, by focusing on the gun violence, we also then focus on the lifestyle crimes and just, you know, can do so much keeping this. Because, you know, maybe, you know, I see myself as the chief law enforcement officer of the county responsible for the public safety. And the public safety has so many different components. It's not just victims of crime, but, you know, setting the tone of this is what we stand for and this is what we can be. So whether it's, you know, saving kids from overdosing or making our shop and our businesses safe, or you know, working on so many different components. So and the interesting thing is, you know, we work on many different advertising campaigns, such as, you know, our copper wire theft. What we found is that that was plaguing our community, especially our rural community, where individuals were stealing copper wire, taking down phone lines. We found that businesses didn't have phone lines. We found that a Kaiser hospital in our community didn't have this. So we did an advertising campaign with our board of supervisors, with AT&T, got the message out there, and we actually reduced copper wire theft 90%, which, you know, is huge in a lifestyle situation. Now, unfortunately, what we also found is that we may have pushed the copper wire thefts to Contra Costa County, who saw about a 90% increase in their copper wire theft.
No.
But you know, when we have these programs at work and we can get this message out, I think we can get good things through education, early intervention, and then enforcement.
Sounds like it's been very effective, and I love the priorities that you've set for your time as the DA. If anyone's listening and maybe they are thinking, hey, I want to get involved, or I want to do this type of work, do you have any job openings or volunteer opportunities right now?
We do have job openings. We are hiring. We also have volunteer opportunities. So, and reach out to me. We'd be more than happy to do that. The other interesting thing is our Family Justice Center is always looking for great board members for the 501c3. And that creates a neat opportunity for individuals that like being involved in the community and now are looking for this different challenge that serves victims. And circling back again, the Family Justice Center is the only crime victims 501c3 that provides services to the entire county. So whether you're in the South County or anywhere, we are looking for great resources.
Okay, so sounds like there are opportunities. And should they reach out to you directly, ronald.freitas at SJCDA? Is that the best way to kind of learn about it? Or
They
what
can,
should
and also going on the website, I think there will be direct information there. So
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So anyone's interested, there are opportunities available as board member, volunteer, or potentially to get employed. So great, great news. This is important work. So I hope there are people out there that want to get involved.
thank you.
So speaking of the community, how can members of the public voice their concerns to you? Maybe they're experiencing issues, chronic issues in the community with crime, certain types of crime. How can they voice that to you in your office?
Well, like we talked about earlier, I do about 300 community events a year. So I'd be more than thrilled to do that. And we do that just so that we keep those open channels of communication. Also, we do have opportunities on the website for individuals who are victims of crime, especially like consumer fraud, political corruption, to initiate those proceedings. Also, by filing police reports, we find that is the best way of documenting this. So we always encourage individuals to call local law enforcement first and then follow up with the district attorney's office and let us know that that's out there. But you're right. I think communication is one of the major components there, and we do pride ourselves on making ourselves available.
Wonderful. So make sure to report the crime and also look out for any of those public meetings, the community meetings that's held by the DA's office, and then you can voice your concerns that way.
Yes, we were just in Escalon last week at the Waffle Factory, so having coffee with the DA, and I think there's more coming up.
Sounds tasty.
Yes.
So your office is located right here in downtown Stockton.
Yes.
Can you share, what do you like about working in downtown?
It's a great place. I think we have the history, we have the central location. I just see so much opportunity here. So obviously, my attorneys need to be close to the courts, and that's very, very important. But I think its central location provides a good hub for us for all the communities. And then, one of the goals we have is, because of that growth in the South County, we would like to open a full-fledged district attorney's office in the South County that's going to be providing attorneys, victim witness advocates, investigations, and the Family Justice Center. So we're probably 18 months away from opening the doors on that, but we are very excited about going where our population is and making it easier for individuals to communicate with us.
Wonderful. And since you are in downtown, can you share maybe a couple of your favorite downtown Stockton lunch spots?
Sure. Fortunately, one of my favorites all time, also Yanni's, is closing, but I love, the Fed. I think that is a great lunch, and also Cast Iron. They do pretty good too.
Very trendy, very cool. Thanks for the shout outs for our downtown businesses. So I'm almost done with my questions, and then we're going to move on to the viewer questions. And I see that we do have some, so thank you if you did type in a question. If you haven't yet, you might take the opportunity to do so now. I would like to ask you, what aspect of your work is the most rewarding for you?
That's a good question. Traditionally, I was a trial lawyer, so I was used to saying ladies and gentlemen of the jury, and fighting for victims in the courtroom was one of the great benefits in getting justice for individuals. But now I think setting the tone, working with all of our partners, public, private, faith-based, nonprofit, law enforcement, and saying this is what our community stands for. This is what we're about. I think that is what brings me the most satisfaction every single day. And then seeing the changes. Like I said, we've been in office 684 days. We took office January 2nd, 2023. If you were to tell me 2 years ago that we would be here, I would tell you no way, that it was too uphill of a battle. But to see the community response, to see the positive changes, to see people being excited about being in San Joaquin County, that means a lot to me. I raised my family here. I raised my grandchildren here. I'll give my grandson a shout out. He's Jordan Anderson. He's an airman in the U.S. Navy, and 22 years old. So followed it in that public service. But just that we have a great place, and that the DA's office is here working to make it better.
Love it. So we love the work that you're doing. We support the work that you're doing, and I just think it's amazing all that you've been able to accomplish so far, and I look forward to everything that you guys will be doing with the rest of your time in office. So thank you for sharing that. And it is really important to set that tone in the communities, that you're really drawing a line in the sand. These are things we don't accept here. You're going to get prosecuted if you do these things. It's just so
And we're compassionate. We will get help for individuals that need help, without a doubt. But if you are here to run open air drug markets or be serial thieves, for profit, then that's not going to be acceptable. Not on our watch.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much. And how can people get in touch with you if they have any questions or concerns about anything that you talked about today?
Well, we're always available at the district attorney's office, and believe it or not, I believe we respond to every single email there is. So we always appreciate input, good, bad, or whatever. And also, that's teamwork makes the dream work. That's by hearing from our community. I believe in servant leadership. We are here to serve. We are public servants, and we should be providing the best service for our community. And that's how we find out, is by feedback from individuals.
Thank you. All right, so you've made it through all my questions. Thank you.
Okay.
So we're ready to open it up to any viewer questions. Are you ready?
Okay, shoot.
Okay. All right, let's see what we've got. Okay, awesome. Looks like we've got a lot of interaction. So this is a question from Johnny Palacios on Facebook. The question is there any major case through the years that stands out to you because of the outcome, either good or bad?
Sure. We've had a lot of cases. Right now, I'm very proud of our accomplishments in office, that we removed a corrupt city council member out of Lodi that was violating the public trust. I'm also very proud that we also convicted the CEO of a nonprofit for child molesting, and he's now facing life. These are individuals that had the public trust, and were, public dollars have a special place for me, especially, from my experiences on the school board. Someone that steals from our kids, someone that steals from our students, that is something that I have a very hard time with. I'm also very proud that unfortunately we had 2 triple homicides this year. One was an arson. The other is being investigated. Looks like it's burglary related, and we were able to solve both of those. And that's, I think, part of the commitment and the dedication and the relationship that law enforcement and us have together. That these are untenable crimes. They're horrible to the community, and these are crimes that need to be solved. I'm also very, very proud of one of my attorneys convicted an individual of a homicide that happened 35 years ago. So, that we were able to revisit that and work hard and bring justice. Cold cases obviously are very bad for the community, and bringing justice to those victims is very hard. But all cases are very, very important to us, and we like working hard, getting justice for all of our victims.
Thank you. What an interesting response. If we had more time, I'd love to know
Yeah.
more about that cold case for sure, but I know
Yeah.
we're short on time. So thank you, Johnny, for your question. All right. So we've got a lot of comments here from various members of the community. This one's from Michael Huber. He says, thank you for all that you do. Things are a lot better since you took office, especially in downtown. Your staff is great and work really hard to keep offenders off the streets. How will Prop 36 affect the workload on your staff?
Well, we obviously are busy, but we're never too busy to do the right thing. And I think it's going to create a nice opportunity. So where we have repeat offenders that are going to court over and over again, this is going to create a unique opportunity for us to now file more serious charges, hold these individuals accountable, and also encourage them to positive programming and lifestyle. There. Prop 36 is a holistic approach, so it not only deals with homelessness, but addiction and retail theft. So we found that people were stealing the property to buy drugs, and the drugs were being bought in the open air markets. So by having this holistic approach, and I think being able to address this the first time as opposed to 10 times is going to be a great positive for the community. So, and I think Michael knows very well. So, being the director of downtown. So, thank you, Michael.
Awesome. Thank you.
Nice
for your
fish
question.
too, Michael.
I know, right? Okay. So this is a comment here from Nate Knott on Facebook. He says, good to be focusing on retail flash and smash and grab robberies. Very tough on retail merchants. Awesome comment. Thank you, Nate. And he has another comment. He says, the new Greater Stockton Chamber cameras and public awareness plan with the DA and law enforcement should knock the crime down. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Thank you, Nate.
Okay, so I'm going to look for a few more questions. This question is from Jay Schroeder on YouTube. He's asking, thanks to both of you for a great program. Mail theft has been increasing the past few years. Is the DA's office involved with the prosecution of mail theft?
Yes, mail theft has both federal and state jurisdiction, and we are one of the agencies that can prosecute it, especially when we see it roll into identity theft that goes in there. So we have very well-trained investigators and prosecutors for mail theft.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for your question. All right, we've got some more rolling in. This is from Susan Bartman. She's saying, thank you, Ron. People are loving the work you're doing. And
thank you, Susan.
We've got some more coming up. Okay, this is from Zach Holsey on Instagram. Let me go ahead and show it. Okay, he says, Ron is amazing, great DA. What are some current projects that the DA's office is working on? In addition, any future initiatives to help prevent youth crime?
Yeah, youth crime is obviously a very high priority if we can get people on the positive. So like we were talking about, we're spending over $500,000 in asset forfeiture. We're also doing educational process. We're educating not only on fentanyl, but on domestic violence, sex trafficking, getting the message out there because, the children, much easier to get children on positive paths in there. So very good question.
Yeah, it feeds into the prevention that you've been talking about.
Right. So.
Okay, thank you, Zach, for your question. We've got another question. This is from Thwan on Instagram. The question is, with the recent election results showing San Joaquin County and nearby counties leaning right, how do you suspect that may impact law and order in the area?
What we found is that the candidates really were open when we discussed with them. all of our ideas about education, early intervention, and enforcement. So we're also pride ourselves on being able to work with everybody and work towards good solutions for the community in all aspects. So we're very excited about the results and ready to roll up our sleeves and get to work.
Awesome. So doing the work regardless of, how the election came out. Thank you for your question. And the same person, Juan, has a question, and I know you touched on part of this with Mike's question, but let's read it. It says, what are your thoughts on the passing of Prop 36 and the rejection of Prop 6? If you can speak about it.
I think Prop 36 is going to be a really good tool for us. And Prop 6, the voters have spoken, and we're ready to get to work.
Okay. So I've got just maybe a couple more comments, and then we'll be wrapping up. Okay, so this is another comment from Nate Knott saying infrastructure scavenging has been a huge issue. I know that you were talking about that, I believe, with the copper wiring and things. You're taking that on?
We absolutely are.
Awesome. And he's got one more comment. It says, DA Freitas does a superb job of connecting with our community residents at many events.
Well, thank you, Nate. I know you're at a ton of them too, and I appreciate what you do also.
Wonderful. Yes, Nate's out there in the community, and it seems like all the good work that you've been doing, Ron, is really well received by everyone. So those are all the questions. Oh, I see one more. This is from Johnny Palacios. He says, what is the most difficult aspect of your job?
I think my wife will tell you is being in two places at once. So, but we love doing this, and it's more than a job. It is an office, and I think it's a commitment to the community. We told the community this is what we were going to stand for, and this is what we were going to do, and that's what we are about. So is free time at a premium? Absolutely, but I think the time we're spending and the investment we're making is well worth it because we love this community and we love its citizens that much.
Really paying off. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you to everyone who is watching today for tuning in. I just want to remind everyone before we close out that this video has been streaming live to YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, where we are at downtown Stockton. And before we close out, I want to ask Ron, is there anything else that you'd like the community to know about either crime in our community or the work that you're doing?
Well, we're just very thankful for all the positive feedback. We believe that, I can't say it enough, this is a great community and we're going great places. And together we're going to work to keep this community safe through all the different avenues. So we appreciate what you're doing and we look forward to continuing in this relationship and making this the best community that we can. One of the reasons I was just sick and tired every time we saw our community on the worst 10 lists in the nation. And now we're seeing a turnaround and then we're on the top 5, which is where I believe we should be. And that's where I'm committed to keeping us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Ron. Again, we love everything you're doing. We support the work that you're doing, and you're just attacking so many critical issues in our community. So it's very exciting to see these changes happening. So thank you for your work, and thank you everyone who tuned in. And with that, I would just like to say, have a great day downtown.
Thank you, Courtney. Thank you for the opportunity. Bye.
Thank you.